Tonight, two unusually bright points of light are drawing attention in the western sky after sunset. At first, they may look like stars, but they are not. Their close appearance is temporary, easy to miss, and part of a larger June sky event that also involves Mercury and, later, the Moon. So why are Venus and Jupiter appearing so close right now? When should you look? And what makes this view worth catching before it changes? In this video, we will explain how to watch this rare evening sky event. Let's get started. The first thing most people will notice is the brightness. Shortly after sunset, the western sky will still have some twilight color, but 2 points of light should stand out clearly. One will be brighter than the other. That brighter one is Venus. Nearby, slightly dimmer but still very noticeable, is Jupiter. At a glance, the pair may look like two stars sitting close together, but their position changes from night to night, and that is the first clue that something else is happening. Stars keep almost the same pattern over short periods. Planets move more noticeably because they are part of our solar system, not distant background objects. Around June 8th and June 9th, Venus and Jupiter reach their closest apparent spacing in the sky. They do not touch, of course, but visually they appear close enough to create a striking pair. This is why some observers describe the event as a kiss between Venus and Jupiter. It is a useful image, but it should not be taken literally. To see them, the direction matters more than anything else. You need a clear view toward the west or west-northwest after sunset. Buildings, trees, haze, or hills can block the view because the planets are not high overhead. The viewing window is also limited. If you go out too early, the sky may still be too bright. If you wait too long, the pair may sink closer to the horizon. Mercury may also be present lower in the same general region, but it will not be as obvious. It sits closer to the sunset glow, so spotting it depends heavily on your horizon and sky clarity. For most viewers, Venus and Jupiter will be the main visual event. Mercury is the extra challenge, and that raises the bigger question: why do these planets appear close together now, while they are actually very different worlds moving on very different paths? The close pairing of Venus and Jupiter is not caused by the planets approaching each other in space. It is caused by perspective. From Earth, we sometimes see two planets along nearly the same line of sight. Astronomers call this a conjunction. That simple word can make the event sound technical, but the idea is easy to picture. Imagine looking down a long road and seeing two people standing far apart, but from your angle they appear almost next to each other. The same kind of visual alignment can happen in the sky. Venus and Jupiter are still separated by enormous distances, but from our moving viewpoint on Earth, they briefly appear in the same small area of the evening sky. This is what makes the event more interesting than just two bright dots. It is a visible example of orbital motion. Venus orbits closer to the Sun than Earth does. Jupiter orbits much farther out. Earth is moving as well, so the angles between us and the other planets are constantly changing. Most nights, that motion is subtle. During a conjunction, it becomes easier to notice. The brightness also tells a quiet story. Venus is not bigger than Jupiter, but it appears brighter because it is much closer to us and reflects sunlight very efficiently through its thick cloud cover. Jupiter is far larger, but also much farther away. The result is that two completely different planets can appear side by side as simple points of light. Mercury adds another clue about the layout of the inner solar system. Because it orbits close to the Sun, it never appears very far from sunrise or sunset. That is why it is harder to see, and why this June event gives observers a useful chance to try finding it. But the sky does not stop changing after the closest Venus-Jupiter moment. The most useful part of this event may actually come from watching what happens next. After Venus and Jupiter reach their closest apparent pairing, they begin to separate in the evening sky. This is the part many people miss. The event is not only one night. The tightest view is brief, But the broader sky arrangement continues across several evenings. Jupiter will gradually become harder to see as it drops lower into the twilight later in June. Venus remains easier to identify because it stays bright and prominent after sunset. So, if clouds block the exact closest evening, the event is not completely lost. The view will change, but the planets will still be worth checking on nearby nights. Mercury then becomes part of the story in a more noticeable way. It remains the difficult object, lower and fainter than Venus and Jupiter, but for viewers with a flat western horizon, it may be possible to spot all three planets in the same evening region. The trick is to find Venus first, then use it as a guide. Once Venus is visible, Jupiter should be nearby. Mercury will be lower, closer to the horizon, and more affected by twilight. This is where the answer to the earlier question becomes clearer. The reason this view is worth catching is not just that Venus and Jupiter look close for a moment. It is that the whole western sky becomes a short live sequence. First the bright pairing, then Mercury's lower appearance, then the moon joining the scene later in June. Around June 17th, the moon becomes the next major marker. A thin crescent moon near Venus creates another strong visual moment, especially for casual observers and photographers. In some regions, the moon may even pass in front of Venus, but for most viewers, the important part is simpler. The moon helps turn the event from a two-planet pairing into a broader sky watching sequence. For viewing, keep it practical. Go outside shortly after sunset. Face west or west-northwest. Start with the brightest object, Venus, and then look nearby for Jupiter. If the horizon is clear, scan lower for Mercury. No telescope is needed for the main view, and using optical equipment near sunset should be avoided unless the sun is fully below the horizon and you know exactly where you were pointing. For photography, the best results will likely come during twilight, while the sky still has color. A phone can work if it is kept steady and the exposure is controlled. A skyline, trees, desert horizon, or coastline can make the scene easier to understand visually. So, the event is not only about two planets appearing close. It is about watching a changing arrangement of Venus, Jupiter, Mercury, and the Moon reveal the motion of the solar system in a way that is visible from the ground. Venus and Jupiter are briefly lining up from Earth's point of view. The closest view will not last, and the June sky will keep changing after sunset. So, look west while you still can.